Hey, welcome back, people of the internet. If you're new here, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Will, and I'm the creator behind the content on this channel. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Today, I want to talk to you about a black eye that has remained on the American society and the American history books for far too long, and how we came close to this past year of actually making amends or starting the road to make amends for an injustice that was committed in 1955 in the deep south here in America, in Mississippi. At that time, in the summertime of 1955, a 14-year-old boy from Chicago, Illinois, was visiting relatives, and a member of the family, a reverend at the time, he was here to in the South to visit his relatives. Emmet Till. Maybe you've heard of the name before. Maybe you remember it from your American history class. But the chances are you've never even heard of him, because we have done an injustice, to the children, raised here in America, and subsequent generations after 1955, of not telling the true story of how, and people of color and those of different religions, and were treated here in America. We have never done an adequate job of teaching the American history. And when it comes to a case like Emmet Till, that was so concrete, filled with evidence, that it completely blows your mind when I tell you the actual factual information about this case. This summer afternoon, a woman by the name of Carolyn Bryant Donham had made accusations against Emmet Till that he had whistled at her, number one, and number two, had tried to either grab her hand or grab her wrist in a grocery store. This was, at best, it's an harassment charge. Even in 1955, if a white teenager had done it, they would have probably, turned him over to his parents, and they would have had, a strong talking to him. But in the deep South in Mississippi in 1955, that sealed the fate for Emmet. Emmet, the mob mentality took over. In broad daylight, ladies and gentlemen, Emmet Till was kidnapped, taken to a rural area, beaten, sodomized, had barbed wire wrapped around his neck, lynched. A large fan was attached to him as a weight, and then he was thrown off of a bridge into the Tallahassee River. Again, for whistling at a white woman and supposedly trying to grab her hand or wrist. Again, here in America, we've never taught the real history of our, what had took place in this country, and we're still ignoring and censoring history today. Things that happened just a year ago are not covered in history classes here in America. As people became more woke or whatever, left and right, and people have battled it out with, between the two, political parties, they've turned in on the history books and they said, you can't teach that. You can't talk about that. If you don't learn from history, from the past, you're doomed to repeat it again. Here are the facts of this case. Roy Bryant, Carolyn Bryant Donham, her husband, and his brother-in-law, J.W. Milham, were brought up on charges for what they did to Emmet Till. there wasn't any, real belief that justice would be carried out, that that somehow they would be found guilty, and even if they were found guilty, they would serve any time in prison for what they did. It was a very short trial. There was almost no evidence that was given any weight from the prosecution at all, and a lot of the parts of it, they just refused to even put on any kind of witness or any kind of fight to try to prosecute these two guys. After less than an hour, and 1 hour total, because they had lunch, otherwise it was less than an hour of total deliberations, an all-white jury came back and acquitted them both of the crime. And almost immediately, both of Roy Bryant and J.W. Wilhelm came out and started talking to the press. They joked about it, they laughed about it, and they fully admitted to what they did to him. They admitted after being acquitted, yeah, we murdered that little, and you fill in the word. They said it over and over again. They sat down and did a full interview along with Carolyn Bryant Donham and spoke to the media, to a news magazine, a major news magazine, about what they had done and how, who cares? He was just another, you fill in the blank. There was such a disregard for justice in this case. This past year, while they were cleaning out and going through archives, they found witness statements that were never followed up on. They found an actual warrant for Carolyn Bryant that showed that she actually perjured herself during the investigation of this case. A warrant that was never served on her. She got away with her involvement in it, and she played a pivotal role in convincing the all-white jury, not that they needed to, but she was a pivotal role in giving an alibi to these two men of why they couldn't have committed the murder. Perjure. She lied to the investigators. She lied to the police department. The written statement was all fabricated. And they got away with the murder of Emmet Till. The black eye on the American society is still there. Because yesterday, the day prior to this recording, I don't know when you'll actually see this recording, the day prior, the grand jury in Mississippi, after a very short deliberation, has decided not to indict Carolyn Bryant Donham for her involvement in the murder of Emmet Till. Emmet's family, from Chicago, and his extended family in Mississippi knew, everybody knew, even those who weren't related to him, they all knew who killed Emmet. Everyone knew. Not even a day later, Carolyn Bryant's husband was, seen at a local establishment joking about he took care of business. He made sure that it was taken care of. Everyone knew. The jury knew who did this beforehand. Again, they weren't going to convict these two, and even if they did, they never would have served any jail time for it. That's just how the South and the justice system and the racism it was part of everything. The police department, those who never stopped the actual kidnapping of Emmet. We're doomed to repeat the past if we don't learn from it. We will keep on having the same things pop up over and over again. In certain parts of the South, you're still not safe if you're any other ethnicity or color other than white and Christian. From our past, we've allowed the past to go forward with no punishment, no one being held accountable for what they did. When we had the chance here in 2022 to finally hold one of the last two remaining parties accountable for what they did to Emmett Till. We blew it. We absolutely blew it again. One life. That's all we get. I've never understood hatred or racism, and I probably never will understand it. Of all the people I've met in my lifetime and come across, and believe me, I've come across some of the most disgusting, depravable, individuals out there who hate, people for just the color of their skin, their religious beliefs. And I mean truly hate these people, not trust them. They hate them. 90% or better has all come down to ignorance, pure ignorance. Never knowing anyone, never sitting down and talking with someone of that, who they already picked out that they hate. They wanted to hold power over them, and ignorance. That's all it comes down to. I hope that you see it the right way. I hope that you want to be on the right side of history. Because damn, the justice system certainly hell isn't going to be there for Emmett Till and his family. Even after all these years, with an ironclad amount of evidence that proves that Carolyn Bryant was involved and committed an actual crime back then, we still can't get it right. Thank you for joining me today. You stay safe out there.